So imagine for a second that you're like a high school history teacher.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You're standing at the front of the room. You ask the class for the primary cause of the War of 1812, and a kid in the back simply yells, 41.
Oh, wow.
Right. And instantly, like, half the class just bursts into laughter.
Yeah, and you're just standing there completely lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You aren't just confused in that moment, though. You are actually the victim of a highly sophisticated algorithmic gatekeeping tactic.
That's a great way to put it, honestly.
Because, we usually treat language like a public currency. Like, we all agree that a dollar is a dollar, and the word apple means a red fruit.
Right, it's a functional exchange of information.
Exactly. But when you step into the world of middle school hallways and Gen Alpha group chats, they aren't using public currency anymore. They are trading in these invisible, encrypted crypto tokens that, like, change value entirely on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically defensive architecture, and it's built entirely out of vocabulary.
Yeah.
Older generations, we expect language to transfer information. But what we're seeing right now is a generation using language specifically to obscure information.
To basically build a wall at light speed.
Precisely.
And that is our mission for this deep dive today. We are going to decode the latest, most baffling encryption key that is currently taking over classrooms, comment sections, and, well, social media captions everywhere.
It really is everywhere right now.
It is. And we have a massive stack of source material today. We're pulling from linguistic articles, cultural analyses, and the latest official updates from the lexicographers over at Merriam-Webster and Dictionary.com.
Which is always fun when the dictionary tries to catch up with the internet.
Oh, for sure. So whether you're a parent staring at a text message in total confusion or a teacher trying to decipher what was just yelled across your room, we're giving you the shortcut to being well-informed.
Because, I mean, this isn't just a silly internet trend.
Right.
To really understand this new slang, we have to look at the breach that caused it. Gen Alpha didn't just invent a new term in a vacuum.
No, they were forced to evacuate their previous linguistic headquarters.
Exactly, because it got compromised by adults.
Yeah, they got completely evicted from 6-7.
That is the perfect way to put it. They got evicted. For the last year, 6-7 was the undisputed heavyweight champion of youth slang.
Oh my gosh, if you spent any time on the internet or like anywhere near a teenager in the last 12 months, 6-7 was completely unavoidable.
It really was.
And looking at the origin story of 6-7 in our sources, it actually makes a lot of logical sense.
Right, there's a clear lineage.
Yeah, it started back in 2024 with a rap song called Doot Doot 6-7 by an artist named Skrilla. And then the viral nature of it was massively accelerated by the NBA star LaMelo Ball.
Because, and this is the logical part, LaMelo happens to be exactly 6 feet 7 inches tall.
Exactly.
So it had this very tangible cultural anchor, right? You had a catchy song intersecting with sports culture.
Yep.
And it was tied to a highly specific, measurable fact, a basketball player's literal height. Even the physical rhythm of saying 6'7" kind of matched the bounce of a basketball. It was culturally legible.
It made sense, but then 6-7 just got way too big.
Too mainstream.
Yeah, it grew to such monstrous proportions that Dictionary.com literally crowned 6-7 as their 2025 word of the year.
Wow.
And reading through these cultural analyses, that official crowning was basically the ultimate kiss of death.
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here is how the life cycle of slang works.
Think about it like a really cool underground indie band,
All right.
They play these dimly lit basement shows, only the coolest people know about them, and you feel like you're part of a secret club when you wear their t-shirt.
Yeah, you're in the know.
But then one Sunday afternoon, you turn on the TV, and that exact underground indie band is playing in the background of a national commercial for, like, a family minivan with a built-in vacuum cleaner.
The linguistic gentrification is just complete at that point.
Completely ruined.
Because the moment the dictionary editors publish a press release about it, or the moment local news anchors try to use it to sound hip on the morning broadcast.
Oh, it's painful to watch.
It is. The slang is stripped of its primary function. The entire point of it was to serve as a secret password for youth culture.
And if the adults know the password, the club just isn't secure anymore.
Exactly.
So the teenagers essentially had to burn the club down and find a new one.
Yep.
The mainstream co-opted 6-7, leaving Gen Alpha totally vulnerable to being understood by their parents. So they went hunting for a new code.
And they found one in a completely different number.
41.
Yeah, 41. Usually pronounced 41, though. The linguists at dictionary.com have noted this phonetic variation, making the rounds where it's split into 4-1.
Oh, interesting.
But regardless of how they say it, the origin story here completely abandons the tangible logic that 6-7 had.
It abandons logic entirely. With 6-7, we had LaMelo Ball, a 6'7" guy. With 41, our sources point to a track by a rapper and TikTok creator named Blizzy Boy. And the track is literally titled The 41 Song.
Very creative.
Right. And the lyrics are just this rapid-fire inventory. Blizzy Boy simply lists a bunch of random things that he claims to have exactly 41 of.
He just repeats the number enough times in quick succession that it hammered its way into the cultural consciousness.
Yeah.
He basically weaponized repetition.
Yeah.
It wasn't about a clever metaphor. It was just about auditory saturation.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, though, because the timeline here is what I just cannot wrap my head around.
It's weird, right?
It's so weird. According to our sources, Blizzy Boy first uploaded this track to SoundCloud way back in 2021.
Right.
In internet years, 2021 is the literal Stone Age. I mean, we are talking about a different geological era of digital culture.
Prehistoric, basically.
Yet it wasn't until the end of 2025 that this repeated 41 motif suddenly caught on with tweens and teens. How does a relatively obscure track sit dormant in the digital archives for 4 full years, only to suddenly resurrect and become the defining slang of late 2025 and 2026?
Well, it's because we're assuming the internet operates on a linear timeline, and it absolutely does not anymore.
Okay, what do you mean?
The social media algorithms that dictate youth culture, specifically the For You pages on TikTok or the recommendation engines on SoundCloud, they've created this completely flattened sense of time.
So the algorithm doesn't care if a song was minted yesterday or like 4 years ago?
Not at all. The algorithm is entirely agnostic to the chronological release date.
Wow.
All it reads is engagement, audio retention and resonance.
Right.
So when Gen Alpha was suddenly in the market for a new numerical slang to replace 6-7, the algorithm essentially sifted through millions of hours of audio and surfaced an old track that aggressively featured a new number.
And it didn't feel old to them.
No, it didn't have a visible layer of digital dust on it because the platform just strips away context. It was resurrected and repurposed overnight simply because it fit the void perfectly.
That is wild. And they didn't just repurpose the audio either. They actually engineered a physical component to drive its surge.
Oh, the dance.
Yeah, 41 is being propelled across social media by this viral dance. And the way our cultural sources describe this dance is just fascinating. They characterize it as an inverted 6-7 dance.
A literal physical repudiation of the predecessor.
Exactly. But let's think about what that actually means, like biomechanically. The 6-7 dance, if you remember it, involved reaching upward, miming a tall basketball player, putting a hand in the air.
Right, aiming high.
Yeah. But if the 4-1 dance is an inversion of that, they're pointing downward. They are literally stomping it into the ground.
They're physically acting out the burial of the old trend to make room for the new one.
Yes.
Which really brings us to the core mystery of the whole trend.
Right, the meaning.
Yeah. We know the algorithmic resurrection that brought it back. We know the physical dance driving its spread. But how does that translate to an actual conversation?
Like, how do you use it?
Right. If a kid walks up to you in the hallway and says 41, what information are they actually trying to communicate to you?
Well, this is the ultimate punchline of this entire deep dive.
Oh, it really is.
According to the absolute highest authorities on the English language, 41 means absolutely nothing.
Nothing. It is entirely devoid of a definition.
The lexicographers at Merriam-Webster, the people who dedicate their entire academic lives to categorizing human communication, they've officially labeled 41 as a nonsense expression used by teens.
Just a nonsense expression.
Yeah, just to signify shared knowledge or interest. And dictionary.com is in complete agreement. They call it a largely nonsensical interjection.
Right.
It's basically a generational inside joke that can be dropped into any context. You can shout it in a quiet classroom. You can paste it over a picture of a cat online.
You can use it as a greeting or a farewell. It just functions as a conversational wildcard.
So what does this all mean, though? I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
You can't just have a slang word that means absolutely nothing. Like, even abstract slang has a situational vibe, right?
Sure.
Like, cool or lit or bet, they all imply agreement or excitement.
Right. They have a function.
Yeah. Or sus implies suspicion. Are you telling me these kids are just barking a random integer into the void with zero semantic weight?
I'm telling you exactly that.
Yeah.
But this raises an important question, right? To understand why they're doing this, we have to look at the linguistics of what are called phatic expressions.
Phatic expressions.
Yeah. We tend to think of words as containers for definitions, like you mentioned earlier with the word apple.
Right.
But a phatic expression is a word or phrase used strictly for social connection, rather than conveying actual data.
So it's less about literal definitions and more about an audible ping to see who pings back.
Exactly like sonar.
Oh, wow.
When you pass a neighbor and say, "What's up?" you do not want a detailed meteorological report of the sky above their head, right?
No, definitely not.
Nor do you want a medical breakdown of their morning. You're just performing a social handshake.
Ah, I see.
41 operates on that exact same phatic frequency, but on a macro-generational scale.
So when a teenager yells 41 in a cafeteria and 3 other kids laugh, they aren't laughing at a shared definition.
Nope. They're laughing at a shared boundary.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
They're establishing who is inside the digital club and who is locked out. The complete lack of meaning is exactly what gives the word its power.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. The nonsensical nature of it isn't a bug in the language. It is a highly deliberate feature.
Oh, absolutely.
They engineered it to solve the specific problem of adults ruining 6-7.
It is a brilliantly hostile piece of linguistic architecture.
It's mischievous genius. I mean, they watched 6-7 get added to the literal dictionary. They watched morning news anchors try to define it with, like, graphics on the screen. So Gen Alpha just sat back and thought, all right, let's see you try to co-opt something that has literally no definition.
Exactly. They picked an absurdist joke, because the sheer absurdity is meant to confuse the heck out of anyone over the age of 20.
Because if a teacher tries to use 41 to sound cool and relatable, they will inherently use it wrong.
Because there is no right way to use it.
Right. It's a trap designed to instantly expose anyone who doesn't belong.
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows a massive evolutionary leap in the history of slang.
How so?
Well, 50 years ago, slang was primarily geographic and physical. Like if you were a surfer in Southern California in the 1970s, you had a specific dialect.
Sure.
If you were a punk rocker in New York in the 1980s, you had a different set of slang. The boundaries were physical city limits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But today, the internet has completely erased those geographic boundaries. A kid in Tokyo, a kid in London, and a kid in Ohio are all looking at the exact same TikTok feed at the exact same moment.
So the boundaries have shifted from physical geography to basically chronological agility.
Yeah, it's an arms race.
Yeah.
Youth culture is desperately trying to establish a unique identity, while older generations, and let's be honest, massive corporate marketing departments, are constantly trying to decode that identity.
To relate to them or sell things to them.
Right. And because the internet allows older generations to observe youth culture in real time, that arms race has accelerated to a hyperspeed blur.
It really is like digital cryptography. Gen Alpha has to constantly generate new encryption keys to keep the adults out.
And 41 is just the latest key.
But the irony is, the moment Merriam-Webster and Dictionary.com published their articles explaining it, which is the very source material we are using to crack the code today, the encryption was technically compromised.
The adults found the club again? Which means they're likely already digging through the depths of SoundCloud or obscure YouTube clips looking for the next absurd phrase to replace it.
The cycle never stops. It only gets faster.
Faster and weirder.
It is exhausting just thinking about the speed of it all, honestly.
It really is.
Let's quickly distill the key takeaways for you listening at home, so you have the ultimate cheat sheet the next time you interact with a teenager.
Good idea.
6-7 is officially dead and buried. It became too mainstream, too legible, and too corporate.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. 41 is currently the reigning champion. It was pulled from an obscure 2021 track by Blizzy Boy, resurrected by a time-flattening algorithm, propelled by an inverted stomp dance. And it means absolutely, positively nothing.
Nothing at all.
Its sole purpose is to serve as a sonar ping to signal that you are part of Gen Alpha and to completely baffle anyone who isn't.
That is a perfect summary of a deliberately imperfect word.
So the next time you're at the grocery store or in your living room or scrolling online and you hear a tween yell 41 out of nowhere, or you see it spammed in a social media caption, you can just smile.
Yeah, you know the secret.
You know the rich, chaotic history behind the absurdity. You are officially well-informed,
Right.
but, and this is a very strong advisory, Do not attempt to use it yourself.
Please don't.
If you try to slide 41 into a conversation with your teenager to show them how connected you are, you will instantly trigger the creation of a whole new number, and we will have to do this entire deep dive all over again.
Oh, we will absolutely be back here in 6 months explaining why the word lampshade is the new pinnacle of teenage comedy.
Right.
But before we wrap up today, there's a final lingering thought from all of this that wasn't explicitly covered in the dictionaries or the trend pieces we reviewed.
Oh.
Yeah, but it feels incredibly urgent given the tech landscape we live in right now.
Okay, I am all ears. Where does this go next?
Think about the billions of dollars currently being poured into artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere.
We are building massive technological systems, right? Sentiment analysis AI, predictive text models, algorithmic marketing engines, and they are entirely designed to read our digital text and figure out what we want.
Yeah, to predict our behavior.
Exactly. The entire premise of these large language models relies on context windows and tokenization.
Right.
The AI looks at the words around a phrase to determine if the human user is happy, angry, or likely to buy a specific product. It requires language to be that functional map we talked about at the beginning.
It needs a straight line to understand human intent.
Precisely. But if Gen Alpha is intentionally shifting towards slang that is completely nonsensical, devoid of context, and designed purely to baffle outsiders, how are those algorithms going to handle this?
Oh, wow.
When 1 million teenagers spam the number 41 in the middle of a sentence about pizza or a video game, the AI's context window completely shatters.
Right, because it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. The model cannot parse whether it's an age, a quantity, an error code, or just a joke.
So they are inadvertently poisoning the training data of trillion-dollar tech companies just by being enthusiastically goofy on the internet.
Exactly. We're out here trying to build perfect machines that understand human intent, assuming that humans always want to be understood.
But they don't.
Right.
Oh, but
41 proves that the next generation might not need complex privacy software to evade corporate tracking.
Yeah.
They might just break the most advanced sentiment algorithms on Earth purely through the sheer power of absurdity.
That is wild to think about. The multi-billion-dollar AI industry brought to its knees by an inverted dance and a random number from a 4-year-old SoundCloud track.
It's kind of hilarious.
It really brings us right back to the beginning. We expect language to be a functional public currency, but it turns out Gen Alpha doesn't want to use our currency at all. They're perfectly happy just crashing the market.